Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss what is earthquake, how earthquake occurs, what are the effects of the earthquake, and what type of energies are released during earthquake, and how earthquake triggers some other disasters, and how um, seismologists predict about earthquake, and what are the measures you can take to save yourself from earthquake. So let's get started. Let's see first what is the definition, how you describe the earthquake. So earthquake constitute one of the worst natural hazards, and it's a big disaster which causes destruction to human life, wildlife, uh, plants, vegetation, property, and environment, atmosphere. Everything is disturbed when earthquake occurs in certain regions. The effects of earthquake vary upon the magnitude and intensity, and you will be surprised knowing that when we are talking or you are attending this lecture, there are earthquake occurring around the world every now. But some are felt by people and some are not. You only know about the earthquakes which are of high magnitude and high intensity. And most of the affectees are the cities and urban development area. So this is a picture taken after the earthquake happened in some area. What is earthquake? An earthquake is the result of a sudden release of energy in the Earth's crust that creates seismic waves. So you know that the crust and lithosphere and beneath the lithosphere everything is intact, and there is accumulated strain in those plates and in these rocks. When something happens like volcanism or any tectonic movement, there is a sudden release of those accumulated energy in the earth crust. And when the energy is released, we call that seismic waves. And this is the energy is responsible, which comes out through the earth's surfaces, and then it creates destruction and destroys everything which comes in its way. So, the seismic activity of an area refers to the type, frequency, and size of earthquake experienced over a period of time. Every region, country, city has some type of seismic wave activity within its earth, only through sphere. So every region varies. Some areas are uh, vulnerable more, and some are less. Some areas are more prone to seismic activity and earthquake, and some are not. Depending what depending upon the geography where that area is or region is located, like what type of plate they are located, either they are on the edge of the plates or in the center of the plates. So most probably when the regions which are located on the edge of the continental plates are suffer, they suffer more. You see, this is an illustration like you throw a pebble in a stagnant pond, and these kind of lines or waves will generate in all direction. This is what happens when earthquake occurs. There you can see the waves. These are visible due to effect of water. But on Earth, you cannot see that. You can only bear the consequences of these waves which originated from the surface of Earth. You also call that vibrations, or which is traveling in all directions. Now we are talking about that energy will release from the surface, energy will come out the surface. So what is the point on that those surfaces which initiate those energy? So if you talk about underground, you are like the city is placed here, but beneath the city, beneath the area which is going to be affected by earthquake, there is a point, the initial rupture point. Here, earthquake generates, or here energy is released. So you see, this is the focus. We will call that point focus or hypocenter. So this is the point, and see, like you see that this picture, like waves are generated in this manner. Similarly, you relate this with that picture, and here, uh, some nature, I might say, nature throw a stone or pebble, and energy is generated in all direction here, like this. So underground point is called focus, and just parallel to that point on the surface where energy is going to be erupt out, this point will be called epicenter. You have been heard on the news whenever earthquakes occur anywhere that the epicenter of this earthquake was this, um, in the epicenter, or at the epicenter was that, etc. So this is the initial point, but on surface, this is the point from where energy is going to release, and when energy will be released, all of the foundation will be clear depending on the intensity. Like if earthquake is so severe and focus is nearer, when focus is nearer to epicenter, the impact will be higher. And when the focus will be away from the epicenter, like 2 many kilometers deep, for example, if focus is here and epicenter is there, then impact and losses will be less. But whenever it is closer, the impacts will be higher. Okay, so this point where the energy is released have some fault. That's why it broken down. The intact thing will not break easily, but something that is weak, that has some fault, will break easily. So the primary cause of an earthquake is fault on the crust of the earth. A fault is a break or fracture between two blocks of rock. So we classify faults on the movement of the blocks. So for example, these two blocks, normal fault it will be called when one block goes downward, then it will be called normal fault, and we will say dip slip fault. Reverse fault is that the impact block will be moved upward and it will stay here. So we will call it thrust or reverse fault. Strike slip fault, it's left right fault, and it will go side by side to each other. So now we are going to discuss the causes of earthquake, why earthquake occurs. There are certain surface causes which includes human involvement. There are volcanic causes, which is the huge cause of earthquake, and the most importantly, tectonic causes. So when we are talking about human influence, explosion, the bombs, atomic bombing, or mining, etc., we do, These explosions trigger earthquakes in some part of the world. Similarly, landsliding, if we do some activity, construction, mining, so we trigger landsliding, and landsliding trigger earthquake. Similarly, slips on the steep coast. If there are rocks on coast and that rock is so steep, and if any slip occur and rock break down and dumped into the ocean, it also trigger earthquake. Dashing of sea waves and avalanches. You know avalanches. It's the movement of ice on glaciers. So this is very powerful movement, and it also trigger earthquake. Railway trains, heavy trucks, and engineering projects, which are the human-made projects, all of them, it also triggers earthquake. Another is volcanic quake. Because of the volcanism, the volcanism is a very powerful phenomena. And when the lava comes out, magma comes out from the vent of the volcano, it creates a lot of energy and impacts these blocks and induces cracks, which causes earthquakes. Tectonic cause is when there are always somewhere happening convergent boundary movement, divergent, transform boundary movements. So it also triggers, and it is one of the main reason of earthquakes. So these are the waves which generated when earthquake occurs. We will call it body waves and surface waves. Body waves are inside Earth and surface waves are going to outside. We divide body waves into P waves and S waves, and surface waves as love waves and Rayleigh waves. So you see body waves here, like you hammer this block and energy is going upward direction. Like we saw that pebble, we threw that pebble in the water and it generated this kind of energy. So it goes like from this to this point to this point, and upward direction. S type is like you hammering the block on the side of the block, not from the beneath, but just from the side, and it will create impact like this. First this, then this, like this. It's like a snake movement, but in vertical direction, and it creates this type of. So similarly, when the impact is very less, like you say, the earthquake is it's not very severe and it's very mild. Only P wave will be generated. If earthquake is more intense, then along with P, S wave also will generate, and they will come on the ground as Rayleigh waves and love waves. Body waves are P waves, and secondary waves we discussed, and these are the surface waves, love waves and Rayleigh waves. So you see, you try to understand the movement of the love wave and Rayleigh wave. Rayleigh waves are less intense, and the most destructive waves are love waves because of the direction they move. Rayleigh wave move like this is ground, for example. Rayleigh move like this: upper, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. On the other hand, love wave does not leave the ground. It doesn't do up down, but it do like a snake crawling movement on the ground. So they doesn't leave the ground, and in this way, whatever comes in its way, it just vanish it and destroy it. Okay, so we do measure earthquake. We do measure strength of earthquake using Richter scale, which was invented by Charles Richter in 1935. We measure the intensity of the earthquake using some uh, digital numbers. And the study of the earthquake, or the study of the seismic waves, we say seismology, and the instrument we use are seismographs. So this is the seismograph of an earthquake activity, and you see first P wave rather than S wave, and then it goes like this on the surface. So on the basis of this seismograph, we give some numbers to those seismographs. If seismographs show 8 and higher, that means a great earthquake. 7 to 7.9 major, strong, moderate, light, minor, and very minor. Okay, so you see how it will affect. If this earthquake has the intensity of less than 1 to 2, the category will be micro, and it affects, following are the effects. It's not generally felt by people. We have discussed that there are earthquakes happening ever than everywhere around the world, and you even don't know that because they are micro type. They have intensity very less. They are releasing energy very less, so you don't feel it. So it happens around 1 lakh per year. Similarly, you go by micro to minor, felt by many people, no damage, but then felt by all, but some minor breakage. Then moderate type, which is 5.5.9. So some damage to weak structure, uh, not good constructed structure, but poorly constructed or old structure will be suffered. Strong, moderate damage in populated area, and its frequency is 20 to 200. Similarly, great earthquakes, severe destruction and loss of life over large area, and it occurs 1, 2, or 3 per year, where its frequency is very less. Okay, now we compare the energy release with the energy of TNT. Like if the Richter scale is showing reading 1, so it's the energy is releasing from the earth is equal to 170 grams of TNT. You know that the bombs are made up of the explosive are made up of trinitrotoluene TNT, and you just imagine how a hand grenade is explode, how much energy is released from that. So you just compare it. The one is scale give 170 grams of energy, which is also very huge. And if you see the 8 scale reading, it releases energy like 5,64,300 metric tons of TNT is exploded. So you can compare how much energy and how much impact it's going to cause. This is Marcelli scale. Like 1 to 8 on Richter scale, we use Marcelli scale to 1 to 12 on the basis of the impacts, not on the basis of the energy. On the basis of the energy, we use the scale, Richter scale, but on the basis of the impact the earthquake caused, we have designed a scale, Marcelli. So one is instrumental, not foiled by manual in unless in favorable condition to 12 is set a slice में. Total destruction है. Everything is destroyed. Lines of sight and level distorted. Objects thrown into the air. The ground moves in waves or ripples. Large amount of rock moves. Landscape altered. And so many casualties. So 60, there are 60 lakhs earthquake per year, which are not even felt by human. Around 400 felt by human, and in them only 800 per year are damaging, was not severe damages, just minor damages. 18 are major. Yeah, it can cause damages to property, and one or two are great earthquake, which includes the mass destruction. Okay, this is the seismometer we were discussing about, and the graph it gives is seismograph. And see, you see there are earthquake, seismic waves, vibration lines. So how much ground will move? It will record these lines in that manner. How you can predict the earthquake? So some scientists predict earthquake on the basis of the following reasons, like unusual animal behavior. That's not so important, but people in old era try to predict using this sign that the animals will be they will show some weird behavior and activities, or they will bark and shout and make noise, or run away. So water level in wells if fluctuate either slow or either less or more. So it can predict earthquake. Large scale of fluctuation of oil and foreshock or minor shock. Foreshock or minor shock are um, very small earthquakes which happens before the actual earthquake, and these are not destructible, and it does not affect anything, but it's just a mild shock effects. Temperature changes, uplifting of certain area, if some rocks has some uplifting or island appears, and change in seismic wave velocity. So, scientists have installed the seismometers in different regions of the world, and they are continuously charting the seismic waves and making seismographs. So, they monitor those graphs, and if something a change happens, so they alert the area. So these are the effects of earthquake, which occurs after earthquake finishes. Loss of life and property, damage to transport system, railways, highways, airports, marine, internet, mobile service, all are included. Infrastructure is damaged, chance of floods, because the earthquake can initiate the cracks in dams and can break the walls of the dams, and it can initiate the flood. Similarly, fire can also be a result of earthquake, because if ground moves, there is a chance of short circuits in wires, which can induce fire. Communication such as telephone wires are damaged, water pipes, sewers are disrupted. Economic activities like your agricultural land, industries, trade, transport, all of the things are severely affected. And life stops in those areas which had earthquake. Landsliding is another reason. Earthquake triggers landsliding, which also causes different harm to the community and land and environment. Shaking and ground rupture, fires, soil liquefaction are all the results of the earthquake. Tsunami is also be triggered due to earthquake. Whenever the earthquake occurs in the ocean, so it generates the huge waves of water, which will be called tsunami, and there are multiple casualties reported due to tsunami that was triggered by the earthquake. and floods. We discussed that every region has different seismic activities, and the different seismic zones have been set for those regions. If we talk about Pakistan, Pakistan is divided into five zones on the basis of low or high seismic activities. Pakistan has five zones: Zone 1, 2A, 2B, 3, and 4. And these are the regions. So Zone 1 has the lowest seismic activity, and Zone 4 is more prone to earthquakes because it has highest seismic activities. Zone 4 includes the part of Sindh and some of here, Balochistan, the part of KPK and Azad Jammu Kashmir, and the part of this Gilgit Baltistan and northern part. So there's a activity. There is a chances that if there is an earthquake, these part of the region will be affected more, or these part of the region may become the epicenter and focus points of the earthquake. Pakistan is situated undoubtedly is one of the highest seismic zones of the world because Pakistan is situated on the uh, edges of the two, three continental plates. So it has some eight type, Richter scale, 8, 7, 8 reading earthquake in 1935 Quetta, and the recent was Kashmir earthquake in 2005, where Muzaffarabad was uh, totally cleared from the earth and it was again reestablished. And a lot of people lost their lives, a lot of destruction of infrastructure. If we talk about India, so India also has five zones, and zone one has the lowest seismic activities and are safe, and zone 5 has the highest seismic activities and are more prone to earthquake. What are the earthquake safety rules? Like if you experience earthquake, God forbid, so what you are going to do? If you are in the house, don't use lift or getting down from building. Be prepared to move with your family. Don't panic. Be alert. Don't run for an exit. Take cover under a desk or table. If you are surrounded in huge buildings, so it's better and you don't have access to open area immediately. So you should hide under a hard table or under the bed, which is a hard support. So if something fall on you, you can be saved. You should away from the glass things like window glass. If they shatter, you may get hurt. Do not go near electric point and cables because of the movement of the ground. There's a chance of short circuit. After an earthquake, try to contact with the emergency number and try to be more helpful to the people who are stuck under the rubble or in building. And do not drink water from any open container because you don't know during this all disaster or accident, whatever have added in that in those that water, if there is a chance of contamination in those waters. Don't immediately turn on the lights or electricity gadgets because you don't know if there is any wire, open wire or short circuits. You should not don't go to near any beach, or sea or river because earthquake. You have learned that earthquake also triggers tsunami. So if tsunami is triggered there, so that is more dangerous. See, these are the some earthquakes, their places, and what was the scale of that earthquake, and what were the damages it caused. So we were talking about Pakistan 2005 earthquake, where happened in Muzaffarabad, Kashmir. So the reading was 7.4, and um, heavy damage to life and property. Death toll was 1 lakh in Pakistan and nearly 2,000 in India. So it the impacts of those earthquakes is spread it too far. There is another picture of earthquake 1993 in India. So after a great or major earthquake, these type of scenes are common, and you should be helpful when earthquakes is not there anymore. So you should be helpful to your peers. This is the case study of a Bhuj earthquake, 26 January 2001. So the earthquakes are reported in this manner, like date, time zone, epicenter, what was the epicenter, and what was the magnitude on the Richter scale, and what is the focal depth. We discussed now. The lower the focal depth with epicenter, the more impacts you are going to experience. And if the focus depth is deep, so the energy will be less and impact will be less. This was the damage assessment. You can see here. These were the local responses, how NGOs and states cleared the rubble and saved people life and provided them shelter and food. This was the international response. So these are some major earthquake in the world with the air and epicenter. Thank you, people. If you like this lecture and it helped you in any way, and it helped you in your studies, so please subscribe my channel and like it.